watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Live at 4. I have to say, it is a beautiful Tuesday. Nice day for a little walk outside.
Exactly. A little hot. Need that sunscreen, but we'll survive it.
Yeah.
Take it. But the question is, will these temperatures hold up, or are we in for some more muggy weather? Let's get a look at your first warm forecast. We have meteorologist Jacob Madison out on the weather patio. Who knows what to expect and probably how you feeling out there?
Well, definitely it doesn't feel too bad. Now, where I'm standing, I'm kind of, you can see I'm half in the shade and half in the sun. So overall, you know, it could be worse out here, and we certainly have seen worse temperatures, but definitely warm. Upper 80s right now for the most part, a few areas in the middle to lower 80s. And if we take a look at the heat index values, those are close to 90, if not in the lower 90s for a few locations. So again, definitely warm, but we have seen worse. Now, as we go throughout the evening, it's going to get better and better as temperatures fall. Will remain very clear. Temperatures dropping into the upper 70s by the time we get to around 9 or 10. I do want to mention that air quality is better than it was over the weekend, so that is some good news. Not expected to get any worse going forward. And looking at the overnight forecast, we are going to see some mild lows, as lows will drop around 70, and we are going to see some rain start to move in, but it's not expected to move in until a little bit later once we get towards the afternoon hours, and that's when we have the alert day in the forecast for the possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms, strong winds, maybe even an isolated tornado or two. So we'll definitely be giving live updates during that time frame, and I'll take you through the forecast on that time frame coming up a bit later.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Well, the man accused of abducting a Beaver Dam teenager and triggering multiple statewide Amber Alerts is pleading not guilty.
Gary Day appeared in Dodge County Court today, and News 3 Now's Jalen Banks was there and explains what Day is facing.
Gary Day, the 40-year-old Arkansas man accused of abducting a Beaver Dam teenager, appeared at the Dodge County Courthouse Tuesday afternoon for an arraignment.
25 CF 54, State of Wisconsin, Gary Francis Day.
Gary Day was extradited from Nebraska and faces 4 felony charges, including child abduction and enticement. Day's bond is set for $2 million. Authorities say Day is the father of the unborn child of 17-year-old Sophia Franklin. Franklin went missing in February, prompting multiple statewide Amber Alerts, and was found in April. Day is from Arkansas and is accused of taking Sophia Franklin to Arkansas and as far west as Oregon. During Tuesday's arraignment, Day pled not guilty. Now he's set to have a scheduling conference on October 7th at 8:15 a.m. We requested an interview with Day's attorney after the arraignment. They said they're not taking any questions at this time. For now, reporting from the Dodge County Courthouse, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Jalen. In other news, the 69-year-old woman who was attacked by a bear in Barron County is in stable condition today. The attack happened Saturday, and the woman was taken to a local hospital and then transferred to another hospital. Brian Summersfield lives on the farm and on the same road as that woman who was mauled. He says the animals do pass through the area all the time, but this year he's seen more than usual. He is staying alert while praying that his neighbor recovers.
We really respect them, but I could see how they could sneak right up on you, so can't hear them.
Well, efforts to capture the bear involved in the attack are ongoing. The DNR is investigating the incident.
Crews in Iowa County put out a shed fire in Brigham after battling it for almost 9 hours. Initial reports of the fire came in a little after 12:30 early yesterday morning. Multiple fire departments and EMS services responded to the scene. When they arrived, fire crews found a shed filled with hay on fire. It is unclear how much damage was done, and thankfully no injuries have been reported. After Governor Evers signed Wisconsin's $111 billion budget, one question remains.
All eyes are now on whether the Democratic governor will seek a third term next year. Political reporter Will Keneally traveled with the governor today and has more.
Yeah, the governor spoke here at a ribbon cutting for a new river walk here in downtown Beloit. Now, he would not give us any kind of information on whether he will seek a third term, but he did talk about the state budget and said that there's some left on the table.
So we've heard from some education advocates a little bit frustrated by this budget, especially with general aid for K-12 schools. How do you assuage any of their concerns?
Well, I don't believe, obviously, they believe what they want to believe. But at the end of the day, we put a whole bunch of money into what was asked of us, and that was to put it into special education so that they don't have to use their general fund to support special education. So we'll continue. I mean, am I satisfied with the results? No. But, as we move forward, we're going to have to make sure that our schools are appropriately funded.
Now, the governor tells us that he will make a decision very shortly on whether he will seek a third term. Reporting in downtown Beloit, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Will. Welch's is the latest of several major companies to announce it's eliminating artificial food dyes.
The company says it will only use colors from natural sources by early next year. Yesterday, a trade group for ice cream makers pledged to remove artificial coloring from many treats by 2028. Now, this comes amid a push by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who blames the food industry for many of America's chronic health problems. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder says while there is evidence synthetic dyes can cause issues, this is just a distraction from bigger threats to our health.
Red dye number 3, which the FDA wants to eliminate by 2027, has also been shown to cause tumors in rats. However, the levels at which humans are exposed to these artificial food dyes are exceedingly low, and the health risks really pale in comparison with the health risks of the added salt, sugar, and fat in processed foods.
This week, the FDA approved a 4th natural dye in the last 2 months. Gardenia Blue is made with soy protein. The agency is still deciding if it has to be labeled as an allergen. Next on Live at 4, grab the grill and some steaks. We'll have some recipes for your next cookout.
But first, how can you help make Ride the Drive happen next month? And Jacob returns for a full check of your First Warn forecast after this.
Also, President Trump doubles down on his tariff threat targeting Russia if no deal is reached to end the war in Ukraine. In the 608, Ride the Drive is set for next month, but volunteers are still needed for this summer staple event.
Josh Spreiter is in Madison with how you can help.
Ride the Drive isn't until August, but you can help right now by signing up to volunteer. John Weichelt is the volunteer coordinator joining us today. John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, this is such a big summer staple event for Madison, and you wouldn't be able to do that without the help of volunteers.
Yeah, the volunteers are so essential to this event because they can kind of keep things flowing and keep things safe, especially those intersection guide volunteers that we really need desperately right now.
And this event has been going on since 2009, but it continues to grow, and why do you think that is?
I think it's just like a good community event. People like to come together and see their neighbors, and I think they like to try the biking, the skateboarding, and the different things that they can do on the streets and just kind of experience what Madison's like, a little piece of what it's like without so much traffic and without all the cars.
And there's nothing better than being on John Nolan Drive, going into downtown, seeing the Capitol, seeing the lakes. That's truly what makes the Madison summer so special.
Yeah, and you can really slow down. You can kind of look at the architecture of the Monona Terrace and the Capitol building and just kind of take your time and really breathe the city in. And that's what I like the most about the event for me, is what's most so special about it.
About how many people do you typically have come out for Ride the Drive?
I think we're looking at about 15,000 people. That's what we had about last year. We had great weather, and hopefully again we'll have great weather again this year. But on a great weather day, we should have about 15,000 to 20,000 people.
So 15,000 people, obviously you need quite a few volunteers for something like that.
Yeah, we're looking at probably about 150 to 200 volunteers is required for this event. And so we're looking for another 100 or so volunteers to help with the intersection guides and just kind of clean up and take down and set up.
And when it comes to volunteering, a lot of these jobs are pretty easy. I think a lot of people are always like, oh, but this is a fun event to be a part of.
Yeah, and intersection guides are not super hard. No, you need to be an adult, 18 and older, to do an intersection guide, but it's not super hard. You need to stand there and be able to talk to people and help them across the intersection. So providing that safety aspect.
People are watching this today and they're like, hey, I would like to volunteer. How can they do so?
I'll make it really easy. RideTheDrive.com is where they should go. So RideTheDrive.com, you can see different volunteer positions. You can learn more about the event as well and see that we're in Olin Park, we're in Law Park, and we're in McPike Park.
And really kind of all those really special areas and any time during the year, but especially for Ride the Drive.
Right, especially during Ride the Drive, yeah.
Awesome. Sure. John, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And if you'd like to learn more about Ride the Drive and how you can help, you can go to the story up on channel3000.com. In Madison, Josh Spreiter, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Josh. It's a good day to go for a bike ride, but make sure you have your sunscreen, drink plenty of water, all that good stuff, Jacob.
Yeah, today's definitely going to be a better day compared to tomorrow, where we are going to see those storms. So that is the first of the three things you need to know. After those storms, we are going to see much cooler temperatures for Thursday, Friday as well, but especially on Thursday, it's going to be significantly cooler. And then we're going to see those storms return by the time we get to the weekend. So we have the alert day in the forecast tomorrow. Looks like the time frame for these storms will be anywhere from noon to 7 p.m., bringing the most likely hazard is strong winds, and a few isolated tornadoes are also possible as well. Now, this is going to impact really the entire area, as most of the region under a slight risk, and those that aren't under the slight risk get under the marginal risk. So everyone has the potential to see that severe weather and especially see heavy rain at times. Now, again, looking at the most likely hazards, it is strong winds. Also could see some flooding with the amount of rainfall that we have seen. Hail, very unlikely, but still possible. Same with tornadoes, but obviously if a tornado does form, it could create some very heavy damage, which is why we want to highlight that. So looking at the timing of all this, we're going to be dry for the rest of the evening, maybe an isolated shower here or there, but otherwise not going to see anything, and that's going to continue overnight. Wednesday, we're going to start out dry, but even as early as the late morning, we will see some storms move into the western portion of our area. But by the early afternoon, they're going to get into Wisconsin, and throughout the afternoon, they're going to push from west to east, bringing in heavy rain, some strong storms, and then behind it, we're also going to see some cooler temperatures. But it looks like for Dane County, the most likely time frame will be right around 4 p.m., and then areas to the east will see it a little bit after that. And even behind this initial line of storms, this first line of storms will produce the most likely severe weather, but we still could see some isolated showers and storms behind it. But these additional showers and storms that might form on the back end of the system, these are not expected to be severe. So that is the good news. And then although we may see some lingering showers Wednesday night into Thursday, at this point in time, we're really not expecting much in terms of rainfall. But what we are expecting are much cooler temperatures. Highs tomorrow will be in the middle 80s, then lower 70s for Thursday. It is going to be dry for much of the day as well, maybe some rain in the morning. So overall, Thursday and Friday going to be very pleasant, but it will be noticeably cooler outside. Thursday night, though, into Friday morning, sorry, just almost tripped on something. Thursday night into Friday morning, we are going to see some cool temperatures, as lows may drop into the middle 50s. Then as we get to the weekend, temperatures will warm up. We have another chance of rain with several chances of rain for next week.
Thank you, Jacob. President Trump is in Pittsburgh to announce new investments in the state's energy and artificial intelligence sectors.
On the international front, the president's latest deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire with Ukraine is getting mixed reviews, even in his own party. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill.
President Trump departed the White House for Pittsburgh Tuesday afternoon to attend an energy and innovation summit unveiling billions in private sector investments to expand Pennsylvania's energy and AI capabilities.
We have tremendous investments being made.
Before he left, the president discussed his new ultimatum for Russia if a peace deal to end the war with Ukraine is not reached within the next 7 weeks. The president has threatened to impose 100% tariffs on countries that buy oil and gas from Russia, including China and Brazil.
Well, at the end of 50 days, if we don't have a deal, it's going to be too bad.
The president also pushed back against a report that he privately encouraged Ukraine to step up strikes launched in Russian territory, allegedly asking President Volodymyr Zelensky if Ukraine could hit Moscow.
No, he shouldn't target Moscow.
The president's ultimatum is being met with some skepticism from his own party, with some Republican senators concerned about how both Russian President Vladimir Putin and China will respond.
The 50-day delay worries me, and that Putin would try to use the 50 days to win the war.
You have a 30% tariff, and then you add to it a 100% tariff. What do you think that means? No trade with China.
Russia rejected President Trump's ultimatum, calling it unacceptable, pushing for continued negotiations instead, and said its invasion will continue until Moscow achieves its goals. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Trump has also announced a trade deal with Indonesia today, saying it will pay 19% tariffs on goods imported into the U.S., while the United States will pay no tariff on goods sent there.
The two wildfires burning near the Grand Canyon's North Rim are still at 0% containment. The fires have burned more than 55,000 acres and forced the area to close for the season. From his cattle ranch, George McCormick can see the smoke from the White Sage fire just a couple of miles down. He tells CBS News he and his son plan to evacuate the herd.
If it runs to the west, we're in trouble. When a fire starts like this, you're taking your life in your hands to go up there and try to round them up.
Arizona's governor, in the meantime, is calling for an investigation into why the federal government decided to manage one of those fires, the Dragon Bravo, as a controlled burn when it first broke out. That fire has now burned more than 70 structures, including the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. Well, parts of the Northeast are drying out after deadly flash flooding. Record-breaking torrential rain inundated the New York City area Monday night, pouring into subways, submerging roadways, and leaving drivers stranded. Jared Hill has the latest.
Commuters along parts of the East Coast are still dealing with remnants of Monday's super soaker.
Everything is flooded here and there. I've never seen it this flooded in my life, and I grew up here.
Video shows storm water turning roads into rivers in New Jersey, trapping drivers.
Maybe within like 15, 20 minutes, it went from maybe just a little stream of water, and then it just started flooding over.
The dangerous system dumped more than half a foot of rain in Scotch Plains. 2 people in the town of Plainfield died after their car was swept away in floodwaters.
This clearly was a significant weather event.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy surveyed damage in Berkeley Heights after declaring a state of emergency.
It doesn't feel, as I stand here now, as though tonight, tomorrow, Thursday will be in the same level of intensity that we saw last night, but you never say never.
Some major roadways just north of New York City are still closed after they were submerged underwater. Downpours in New York City swept through streets and gushed onto subway platforms and train tracks, causing a mess for passengers.
It's horrible. Whenever it rains, it's bad. It is super frustrating. Like, people just want to go home.
Service is now running somewhat normal after Mother Nature brought the nation's largest mass transit system to a grinding halt. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The National Weather Service issued about 84 flood warnings in the tri-state area during the storm. Well, coming up on Live at 4, before you just throw your steaks on the grill, you might want to plan ahead.
Angie Horkin is here with a few recipes that may take a little extra time, but she'll show us how it could be worth the investment.
Well, these days we're all in a hurry, but you really can't rush a good steak, right? And while you let that idea marinate for a while, Angie Horkin with the Wisconsin Beef Council is here with 2 recipes for your next cookout. Hello.
I like it.
Yeah, I gave
Nice
everyone a little
intro.
hint. Marinade.
I know. So today I actually have 2 recipes using top round steak. Top round steak's traditionally not a steak preferred for the grill because it's very lean. It doesn't have that marbling in it, so that means it's not as tender. So it needs some love.
Needs a little help.
I like to marinate 24 hours. So the night before I'm going to grill, or if I'm grilling for lunch the day before, put it in a marinade. And the key to a good tenderizing marinade is an acidic ingredient. So we're going to make a marinade here quick. This is just called our grilled steak with some Parmesan, asparagus, orzo.
Looks good.
And we're going to start with red wine vinegar. That's our acidic
acid. Okay.
Ingredient. A couple tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Some garlic. Of course, every beef council recipe has garlic.
I know, I always use too much garlic because I love it.
That's okay. Then it's not too much.
Yeah, then it's perfect.
Fresh thyme. Some steak seasoning, so whatever you have in your pantry.
Okay. And I think that's a good key, because when people think about marinades, that might be intimidating, but you can do it with kind of whatever you have.
Really, all these ingredients, like I would have on hand, other than fresh thyme, I'd have to run out for that. And then I put a little bit of crushed red pepper in at the end. Now, the recipe on the website calls for a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. That is a lot. I only do half a teaspoon.
You can kind of moderate that based on your heat level.
Exactly. I like to marinate just in a throwaway plastic bag,
Yeah.
but a glass dish is perfect. Try not marinate maybe in a metal pan, because you could get a little bit of a tinny taste.
Oh yeah,
because
you
of
don't
the
want
acid.
that.
Yeah, so this top round I just grilled here, and use your meat thermometer. Top round is best kind of medium rare, because since it is so lean, if you go a little too far, you might not have the best eating experience. Serve it with some grilled asparagus, orzo, and Parmesan. And then this is called our grilled Southwest steak and colorful vegetables. So you grill up a whole bunch of vegetables, sweet peppers, zucchini, squash, whatever you have, mushrooms, top with some fresh tomato and green onion at the end. And then this marinade base is salsa. And I used a fresh salsa from the deli.
Perfect.
And then lime juice too as acidic ingredient. Got a little garlic in here, a little cumin, and a little bit of oil too. So nice acidic marinades to take an economical steak and make it perfect for the grill.
Yeah, and you know, we said you might want to plan ahead for this. And I know you said that you like to marinate 24 hours. Can people do it for less than that? Can it be an hour?
Definitely.
Or?
Oh, and you could maybe grab one of these.
Oh, what's that?
Too, like my little needle tenderizer. I got this. I shopped. It's not very expensive, but it's kind of got these little needles in it. It takes these steaks, and I've used it on skirt and flank, and it's amazing. I did a skirt steak and only marinated it 20 minutes. And it was delicious.
Oh, okay.
So I actually use this on my top rounds, and then I marinate just because, you know, why not? And then it's going to be so tender coming off the grill.
And your guests will love it. You know, if you plan ahead, take a little time, and then, I don't know, you can make up whatever story you want and be like, oh, I spent hours and hours doing this for you.
Exactly. And they're very economical, too, compared to our premium steaks right now in the supermarket. So you're really going to have a really, really nice eating experience. And just watch your food dollars. So
it smells delicious.
BeefTips.com, Wisconsin Beef Council website. If you click on As Seen on TV, you'll find these. Plus, I picked some other really good grilled top round recipes.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Of course.
Yeah. Which one should I take?
Either one.
Either one?
They're
okay, we'll mix and match. All right, thanks, Angie. Well, coming up on Live at 4, we will have your more top headlines, including SSM Health breaking ground on a new outpatient center in Verona. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, Live at 4, moving forward.
Welcome back to Live at 4, and we just did our grilling segment. I suppose if you do that, you might want to have something cool next to you, a nice cold beverage, water, something else.
Especially if you're out there grilling, for sure. That's where we find Jacob Montesano. I shouldn't say he's grilling, but the forecast on our patio.
Yeah, definitely on the warmer side right now. It has been for the last couple of days. Tomorrow will be warm as well, but the story tomorrow will be the rain. However, we're not really going to see any rainfall this evening or tonight, and temperatures will continue to get better. Actually, a cloud just came overhead, and it actually felt like it cooled it down for about 5 degrees, and it definitely feels really good right now with that cloud overhead. But current temperatures right now in the middle to upper 80s. If we take a look at the heat index values, a few areas in the lower 90s, so definitely warm, if not hot, but we certainly have seen worse. Now, as I mentioned, it's going to get better throughout the evening. Lower 80s by the time we get to sunset, maybe upper 70s at that point, as temperatures will continue falling during the overnight hours. But then as we get towards tomorrow, the story will be the alert day. We are expecting strong winds with these thunderstorms, but we also could see potentially a few isolated tornadoes as well. The time frame for the storms will be anywhere from noon to 7 p.m., although it looks like the peak time frame will be around 3 to 5 p.m. I'll track that a bit later, but I do want to mention that the concert on the square not looking too good right now. Storms likely till around 7, might end a little bit earlier than that, but it's certainly going to rain through the afternoon. Thursday is a rain option, and right now Thursday looks a lot better. The call will be made at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Again, most likely time frame will be in that middle afternoon to early evening, and I'll track all the details on it coming up a bit later.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jacob. The man accused of kidnapping a Beaver Dam teenager is pleading not guilty. Gary Day faces 4 felony charges, including child abduction and enticement. His bond is set for $2 million. Authorities say Day is the father of the unborn child of 17-year-old Sophia Franklin. Franklin went missing back in February, prompting multiple statewide Amber Alerts, and she was missing for 2 months.
A new SSM Health campus has started to take shape on the south side of Verona.
Armand Rahman shows us how the hospital and city hope this expands not only development, but access to care.
Construction has begun to turn this field of dirt into a brand new 97-acre medical campus in Verona. That starts with a brand new outpatient center near the intersections of Highway 151 and 69 on the south side of Verona. The 40,000 square foot medical building will offer primary care, lab and imaging services, and specialty care. And architects say care will run deep through the bones of the building.
We set out to design more than a clinic here. We envisioned a restorative environment where every element, from daylight to acoustics to workflow and wellness, supports healing and the human connection, each to one another.
The new outpatient center is set to open next year. Verona Mayor Luke Diaz says this is a sign of Verona's rapid population growth. Hear what he has to say tonight at 6. For now, reporting in Verona, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Armand. The rest of the campus project will feature more clinic space and additional services.
A new study finds a 13% increase in food insecurity in southwestern Wisconsin. This is according to new data from Second Harvest Food Bank of southern Wisconsin. The study finds nearly 150,000 people in our area, including 40,000 children, are facing hunger. It also finds racial disparities in food insecurity, with 1 in 3 black people being food insecure compared to 1 in 3 white people.
Well, inflation rose in June to its highest level since February as the initial effects of tariffs weigh on consumer prices. Kelly O'Grady reports from the New York Stock Exchange.
Inflation is moving in the wrong direction. Consumer prices rose 0.3% on the month in June, up 2.7% from a year ago. That's the highest level in 4 months. The pressure pointing to one thing in particular.
I think we're starting to see the impact of tariffs creep into this report.
Prices were up for clothing, furniture, and toys, all tariff-sensitive items. And dining out, up 4% at full-service sit-down restaurants.
I think that people have a legitimate gripe in that there are big categories that see high prices, whether it's your cost of housing, the cost of your car, the cost of insurance, the cost of going to a doctor. These are still areas that are really putting pressure on the households of America.
A real jolt in the CPI report, the price of coffee, up more than 13% from this time last year. Brian Jocelyn owns Mountain Phoenix Coffee Roastery in Salida, Colorado. He says he's managed to remain competitive despite raising prices 3 times over the past year. But a combination of inclement weather and steeper tariffs, like the 50% threat against Brazil, could sour the brew.
Brazil has been known for years for essentially setting the pricing for the entire industry for the rest of the year.
We are well positioned to wait to learn more.
Tuesday's report supports the Federal Reserve's wait-and-see approach on interest rates, with the central bank unlikely to budge at its July meeting.
Investors are looking beyond the tariffs, anticipating that the administration will back down from the threat of steeper import taxes and keep the current levels in place. At the New York Stock Exchange, Kelly O'Grady, CBS News.
And the numbers on Wall Street today, the Dow fell 436 points, the Nasdaq is up 37, and the S&P 500 lost 24 points.
Well, next on Live at 4, we hope you're hungry because it's restaurant week next week.
We're highlighting Madison Magazine's question of the day as we gear up for some good eats.
And Jacob returns for another check of your first warn forecast. Well, attention parents, 1 in 3 teens and preteens has prediabetes.
And that is a new report from the CDC. An estimated 8.4 million young people had prediabetes in 2023, an alarming number. UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff is back with a look at why this is happening, what parents should look out for. We were just chatting about. It's pretty overwhelming. This didn't used to happen to preteens or teens.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this kind of calculation from the CDC, if 1 in 3 kids, 33% of our kids have prediabetes, meaning that their blood sugars are elevated, they don't yet have diabetes. That raises a lot of questions as far as like what's going to happen to those kids as they get older. If they go on to develop diabetes, then we know they have higher risks for heart disease, stroke. That's really expensive to take care of. Like, how do we keep these kids healthy? What can we do now to prevent this from getting worse in the future?
So prediabetes is a big warning sign. Are there any symptoms that parents need to look out for, or is this something you have to go to the doctor to get checked?
Yeah, so unfortunately, no, these kids probably feel fine. Things that you could look out for, prediabetes would be associated with being overweight. So a simple thing you can do is calculate body mass index. It's not a perfect measure, but if you calculate that, it's a ratio of height and weight, and your kids are, pushing over 30, there's a pretty good chance that they could have prediabetes. Certainly something to talk to your pediatrician about. Hey, I need to be worried about this. Does my kid have this? What do we need to be doing?
And you talked about BMI. That's something parents can probably figure out in a Google. It's pretty easy
on an
to
online
do.
check, there's tons of calculators.
Exactly. So this number, as we mentioned, is significant. Why is it rising? Is there a why out there?
We think we have some idea. So there's basically two big components and maybe some smaller components. One is our food choices aren't great. The tastiest foods, the things that we like to eat the most, that are the least expensive, are often the worst for us. They're very calorie dense. There's lots of calories packed in there. They're not very satisfying, so we eat more of them. So a lot of our kids are eating more calories than, say, their parents did or their grandparents did. The other thing is there's a lot of distractions. Technology would be one. We've got studies that say our kids spend somewhere between 6 and 8 hours a day on screens. That means they're not walking, they're not exercising as much, and poor diet where you're pulling in a lot of calories, decreased exercise is a perfect setup to have your kids develop prediabetes.
And I imagine it can be terrifically difficult for parents to maybe help help kids make changes, and then you have to factor in the healthy foods can be expensive.
Yeah.
Not everyone has access to a grocery store, so how do you figure this out?
Well, I think part of these things are things that parents probably have some agency over, and some of these are things that are more societal. So like if you don't have the money and you don't live in a place where you can get fresh fruits and vegetables, that makes it challenging. Or if you live in an environment where there is no place for your child to go and exercise, that's challenging. I think as parents, my kids are going to kill me here, but we need to think of like tech time, like taking that away is not like a punishment. It's actually a reward if you get to go outside, exercise, play with the dog, go for a walk. Same with these foods, like, how do we make healthy foods seem more desirable, or that reward versus the things that aren't so good? So I think there's some things we can do as parents as far as watching that diet, promoting exercise, and making these things seem like a good thing rather than a bad thing.
And a lot of times I think too, example, kind of live by example.
Sure,
so if mom and dad maybe get out there and walk the dog, or say we'll walk the dog to a place that's desirable for a kid or a teenager. Teenagers are the tough ones, but that's the goal here, is to try to avoid it before then.
Model the way.
Is there anywhere, if parents have questions about this, any website that they can go to just so they're in the know?
I think like the American Academy of Pediatrics is going to have a lot of information on this. The CDC has some information on this. And I think, there's so many things out there as far as like good activities you can do. I think sometimes we just think like this involves like, being on a sports team, shelling out lots of money to be on a sports team. It just seems insurmountable, but simple things, going for a walk, trying to go to the park, things like that are a great place to start. Some healthy foods, maybe not like everything being healthy to start, just baby steps.
Right, and we've got a group of kids in our backyard, they aren't mine are grown now, but that just play all the time. So running around in that grass with sprinklers this time of year will do the trick.
So many benefits.
Glory days.
I know, right? Thank you, Dr.
Good to see you again.
And coming up on Live at 4, Jacob returns for a check of your first Florida weather forecast.
Well, here is a live look at some very pretty clouds over Platteville right now. Looks like a nice day out there.
It looks like a beautiful day. We know it's a hot one, though. Let's take a look at your firstborn forecast. We have Jacob Montesano joining us with the full forecast. And it looks like it's going to be hot and then a little wet.
Yeah, we are going to see that rainfall tomorrow, and it has prompted us to put an alert day in the forecast due to the fact that we could be seeing some strong storms with the line of showers and storms. Now, looking at the temperatures after those storms roll through, it is going to be a lot cooler for Thursday. Highs may only be in the lower 70s, and then looking forward to the weekend, we are expecting the storm chances to return for Saturday. But looking at the alert day tomorrow, strong winds will be the most likely hazard, but we could see a few isolated tornadoes, and that's the big reason why we have the alert day in the forecast. Time frame for this will be anywhere from noon to 7 p.m., but it looks like the peak time frame will be around 3 to 6 p.m. depending on your location. So taking a look at the severe weather outlook, pretty much everyone is under a severe, actually literally everyone's under the severe weather outlook, with a slight risk for much of the area. Places further west and northwest under that marginal risk, but everyone could see the strong storm. So looking at the forecast, maybe an isolated shower this evening, but otherwise staying dry. That's going to continue for the overnight hours. Wednesday will start out dry, but once we get possibly as early as the late morning, but definitely by the early afternoon, we'll start to see those showers and storms move into the western portion of our area, and they're going to push from west to east, bringing in that heavy rain and the strong winds. The best best chance of severe weather will be this first line of storms that rolls through. Again, from west to east. Could see some rain on the back end of it, but it's not expected to be as severe once that first line rolls through. Areas to the east will see it impact the area around 4 to 6 p.m. And then as you get closer to Milwaukee, around 6 to 7, and then it will clear out of the region with still some lingering showers Wednesday night. But again, these are not expected to be severe, but we still may see some lingering precipitation as late as Thursday morning. But by Thursday afternoon, we will be dry. Now, temperatures tomorrow, they're going to reach the middle 80s early afternoon, but once the storms roll through, they'll drop into the lower 80s and upper 70s, and then that's going to lead to even cooler temperatures once we get into Thursday. So looking at the high temperature trend, lower 70s for Thursday, and then we are going to warm back up from there, but still going to possibly remain in the 70s through the end of the week, and then we'll see some warmer temperatures return by the middle of next week. And looking at the rain chances, obviously I talked about the rain chance tomorrow, but it is looking like we'll be pretty dry for Thursday and almost certainly dry for Friday before more rain moves into the area once we get to Friday night and Saturday, with more storm chances for next week. So overall, Thursday and Friday looking very nice, especially for those of you that like it a little bit cooler, because we're only going to be in the 70s. And as I mentioned, we're probably going to be dry, but then rain will return for the weekend as temperatures warm up. And then next week, we're seeing almost daily chances of some showers and thunderstorms.
Get ready, everybody. Next week is Restaurant Week, and News 3 Now is doing a giveaway right here on Live at 4.
Ooh, how about that? And every day this week, we'll be asking a question of the day. Today's question is, how important is trying new dishes during Restaurant Week compared to revisiting some of your old favorites?
So all you have to do is head to Madison Magazine Restaurant Week Bucks Summer 2025 giveaway. It'll be easy to find on channel3000.com. You submit your response to be entered into a raffle to get a pair of these Restaurant Week Bucks. They're treasures. Now, if you win, News 3 Now will email you. Good luck. So we all have to answer the question.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's great to get a group of people together, and some people can order the old favorites, and then you can also try new and do like a pass around thing, family style.
I'm
Best of both worlds.
so boring. I'm the boring vegetarian, so I get the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
But I like trying new places with.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Usually whenever me and my wife go out to eat, we'll always like at least one of us try something new, like you said. Sometimes if we both try something new, we kind of will just split it 50-50, honestly.
Yeah.
So sometimes even we'll both get something and we'll end up liking the thing that the other person got, and we'll just swap it. So
yeah. Well, if you are going out to eat, do we want to do a patio or stay inside in the air conditioning?
Today is a good patio day, as those temperatures, they're only going to get a little bit cooler, but not to the point where it's going to be cool, if you know what I mean. So lower 80s, upper 70s for the rest of the evening. We are going to see those storms tomorrow, though, as we do have an alert day in the forecast, as we are expecting the possibility of strong storms. Then it's really going to cool down for Thursday and Friday. Take a look at that overnight low Thursday into Friday. We may drop into the middle and lower 50s. Certainly going to be feel a lot different outside than what it has been. Those temperatures are obviously going to warm back up, upper 70s, lower 80s, and then middle 80s for next week. But we continue to see no alert days for the heat, despite the fact that it is the warmest time of the year. We did have some earlier in June, but it's the middle of July now, and we haven't hit 90 in the month of July for Madison. So that's, and looks like we're going to continue that trend. I mean, I'm sure many people are not going to complain about that, even those that like it warmer. We've been in the 80s, so it's good to see those 90s kind of away from our area, despite the fact that it's July.
And it'll be in September, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Labor Day weekend.
It still feels like it's been pretty hot.
Yeah, it has been above normal, but we haven't had any of those brutally hot days.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm sure many people are.
Thanks, Jacob.
All right, thank you, Jacob.
We'll be right back.
Coming up tomorrow on Live at 4, Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company joins us to answer your plant questions. You can send those to channel3000.com and she will answer them live on the air. And later on News 3 Now at 5, Governor Evers is in Beloit for a Riverwalk opening. We'll talk with him about the upcoming governor's race next year. Thanks so much for joining us on Live at 4 today. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow. And you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000 Plus. News 3 Now at 5 starts now.